at the 10 spot here in our Just Beavin preseason power ranking series as we welcome you back into the pod on this wonderful Tuesday. Andy, JP, the Beav himself here. Fellas, already 4 episodes into the series. JP, I know this was kind of your baby that we've launched here, and I'd like to say it's been a smashing hit so far. We've gotten some good raving reviews from the guys.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We're shining some light on some teams who typically get glossed over during the regular season and the episodes we do then. So it's nice to give, everyone their time in the light and really get to discuss the league as a whole, honestly.
Yeah, what do you think, Beav?
Yeah, let's get a little episodes. I like doing this. It's a great idea by JP, and I keep waiting to get it rolling. So let's keep it going.
Yeah, it gives us, something to say and something to talk about here. Is we're now in the month of August, which is awesome. We're that much closer to football getting underway as we look at who is number 10 here in our preseason power ranking. Some things have been jumbled up a bit and, kind of moving around due to some trades being made. I guess, JP, we can let you start here. Brady is the feature episode here for today, but he made a trade recently that's kind of altered a bit of the rankings here compared to what we had when we originally set this list a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so I should have pulled it up ahead of time. So this is on me. I apologize for being unprepared. But Brady shipped off Rashee Rice to Ty, which kind of affected the rankings as a whole. I don't know the exact movements of everyone, but Ty went from 12 to 10. I believe Wade then went from 11 to 12, and we originally had Brady at 10, and now Brady is at 11. So while technically we've filmed episode 12 and 11, this would be 10. Brady's ranking will reflect being number 11.
And for the thumbnail, for those of you who are on our channel and go through the most recent, we've updated thumbnails and everything. So those are the true rankings. Obviously, we're doing this series a month out. The trades are open. It's not like we're going to tell the guys in the league, hey, you can't make trades. No, it's the nature of the league. You want to get your roster ready to go before week one hits in full effect. But nonetheless, here we are with Brady's team. This is episode 10, but Brady is now ranked 11th in our rankings. I'll start us off here. If those of you just tuning in and those of you knowing how it works, we normally will go by position and ranking and what we ranked each room on each team, including draft picks at the very end. We go through team awards. Then we lastly look at the schedule. We'll look at Brady's schedule this year. We'll give the floor and the ceiling and in total what we think his record will be here in the 2026 season. Let's start off with the quarterback room and I'll get us going here. I ranked Brady's quarterbacks at 13. And I know this might raise some eyebrows. I'm not super high on this room, and I'll tell you why. It's Jackson Dart and Brock Purdy. Purdy for me, and I get in a fantasy sense, right, that the Niners are a safe offense. It's a good system. I'm not a big Brock Purdy guy. I'm really not. And the injuries that we've seen from him in his career, it's really tough to kind of put into words what his true fantasy value is. And not only just him, it's the guys around him getting injured. That's been really a big thing to kind of look at and hone in on. And then Jackson Dart serving as the QB1 for Brady's squad. Going into his second season, new offense, Matt Nagy's there. It's Harbaugh's team out in New York, and people are very up and down on the value overall of Dart as we get going in the season. Got the handcuff there in Winston, Flacco, and Taylor rounding up the room as well. He's got two guys that he can play, Dart and Purdy, every week, and I get that. It's just my opinion. I'm very low on the quarterback. It's the floor, the ceiling's not super high, and the floor is what it is. I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm not super huge on it. I think Dart is bound to regress. We're all Bears fans on this panel. We've seen what a Matt Nagy offense looks like. I know there's some talent there in New York, and there are some weapons for him to work with on that offense. I just don't know if I trust the talent itself to overshine what is going to be a really bad offensive coordinator in an offensive system. What do you think, GP?
Yeah, I completely agree. I've made my distaste for Jackson Dart very well known on this podcast since Dart got into the league. And as a matter of fact, just to even further emphasize that, I traded away the pick that Brady used so he could take Jackson Dart, knowing he was going to take Jackson Dart, and didn't lose sleep about it once. I know Dart's had his flashes, especially in he's got an aura, and so that, Caleb Williams is kind of going through it right now, except he's a 10 times better player than Jackson Dart. But people are talking about Caleb like he's top five. And as much as I would love to say Caleb at this current point in time is top five, it's just not the truth. He's closer to like that 8 to 12 range, somewhere in there. But people are talking about Jackson Dart like he's for sure going to be a sure thing. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Reminds me a lot of Justin Fields. It's unfortunate. He brings a high rushing ceiling. but as a passer, the processing is slow. The mechanics are actually good, but the problem with Jackson Dart is I think he's a one read and run kind of guy. And no disrespect to Matt Nagy, but all disrespect to Matt Nagy. He's a god awful offensive coordinator. We saw what happened when he started calling plays in Kansas City. And even if he wasn't calling plays, because it was always murky whether he was calling plays or Reed, once his influence was really on that offense, we started to see them struggle a lot. And I know people don't want to, or people want to say like, oh, well, it's Andy Reid's, he's calling the show. But Nagy got promoted to OC, the offense falls off. I'm just saying. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, I think is a very, very safe floor. Like Purdy for what he is, you're going to get those spike weeks where he does throw for 4 touchdowns and a shootout versus the Bears on Sunday Night Football. Those games are going to happen, but you're also going to have the games where he throws no touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and that's just what you're going to have to live with. Or a game where Christian McCaffrey's got 23 rush attempts and I guess it'd be Jordan James this year has 14 rush attempts, and they're just grounding and pounding the ball, and then he gets left out, and so it's a very volatile room. I know I haven't said what I have him ranked. I have Brady's room ranked 12th. Um, and again, it doesn't seem like it should be because Dart should be this fun, promising, up and coming guy. We should be talking about this room in a lot better light than we are. I'm not a big Dart guy. I think I truly just it's so much like Justin Fields. I think in a couple of years we're gonna look back and be like, wow, man, like Brady could have traded Justin Dart. See what I did there? Jackson Dart for 2 firsts, and now he's backing up Aaron Rodgers Jr. in Pittsburgh. So
Yeah, I'll hop in here real quick. I don't got much to say, boys. Hit on the horn. I got Brady's quarterbacks at 11. Not that I like these quarterbacks. Just like JP said, Dart's kind of got the upside like Justin Fields. Is he a good quarterback IRL? No. But for fantasy purposes, absolutely he's a good quarterback. That rushing upside and those rushing touchdowns could be very effective in this league, as we all know that. But outside of that, we also know that Jackson Dart, we've seen this in many games. He doesn't like to slide. We saw him take that nasty hit and can't think of that. It was god awful. What was that primetime game? It wasn't KC. It was it the Eagles he's playing? We went head on with the one guy. I don't even remember. But it was a nasty, but we've seen it
Yeah.
all. I mean, it's just not that game. He just doesn't like to slide, and we all know from that. I mean, it's going to cause an injury. And that's the other problem I have with this quarterback room is with Jackson Dart. I don't think he's going to stay healthy with what he does on the field. So that's another issue with him. But Brock Purdy, he's one of those guys that's gonna get you 15 to 20 points each week, and he's gonna be very stable for Brady, and I like that for him. So other than that, I got nothing. We can move on.
Beav, we'll keep it with you. We'll let you start with the running back group.
Yeah, I know KTC's got his running backs at 10. I actually have them at 13. You guys might be a little surprised by this. Yes, he's got Hampton, awesome guy. Wasn't on the field a lot last year. He was injured. I think he missed 6 games. Still think he's great. I think he's going to have a lot of upside this year with McDaniel. We saw him in Miami. Loves to run the ball. We saw him run the ball A-Chain last year. I think he's got that same effect of Hampton. And we're going to see a lot of good things for him. I do like Kenneth Gainwell too. I think he's going to split carries at Bucky Irving. Now, is he better than Bucky Irving? Absolutely not. But I could see a little upside. I could see a little 8 to 12 points from him each week. Good thing about Gainwell too, he's effective in the backfield. He can catch passes, so that's another good thing. The real reason I ranked Brady's running backs at 13 is after Gainwell. I don't know why Tank Bigsby's 2,000. 2,600. I don't even know how that's possible because I don't see him getting on the field at all. Uh, so outside of Gainwell, I don't see any of these guys getting on the field. Maybe Braylon Allen. I guess Commanding Vidal, he's pretty good. I could see him being the RB2. I don't think see. I guess yeah, I guess Vidal's their RB2 at LA, but because I don't see Keaton Mitchell taking over there as Matt Hendricks thinks he's the next coming of Christ. So yeah. Other than that, I got nothing for this running back room.
you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go, JP.
Okay. Drew, love the points you made about Omari and Hampton. I have this running back room ranked 12th, so I'm also a little lower on it. I I should have looked ahead of time at how I think it's only 10th for Brady on keep trade cut because Hampton's value is so high because the rest of this room just really is it's really lacking. Like you said, Gainwell for what he is, I like him. It really just depends if Bucky Irving's ready to go. It doesn't seem like he's going to be early on, so Gainwell should be useful early. But once Bucky comes back in full swing, I'm not sure what this room's going to have. Bigsby, the reason he's trending up, Drew, is because all the reports are coming out that he's like the clear-cut number 2 running back. So it's just the fact that he is the official Barkley handcuff, which is
I got it.
why his trend is up. Braylon Allen, he's great change of pace back, but he's already shown he's not capable of being the lead back. Kamani Vidal's still the best running back in the Chargers room, so it's kind of weird that his value's all the way down here and Hampton's all the way up there, but that's neither here or there. Smith, DeMercado, Singletary, and oh man, Austin Eckler, my glorious king. How far you have fallen.
20.
But overall, it's a rough room outside of Hampton. But I think Hampton, all the signs are pointing towards Hampton having a top 7, top 5 RB type of finish. So
I have him at 11. I'm a little higher only because you look at, and I know it's hard to split hairs with the bottom rooms in this league. There are worse rooms than this group, and there are rooms that don't have a guy of the ceiling of Hampton. And we were robbed of watching him last year. JP and I, we would go through the mock draft process. I can't believe it's been that long, JP, since Hampton was a prospect. But him and I were both very, very high on him. And with Gainwell, a change of scenery might help him out in Tampa. We know that Tampa Bay running back group, whether it's Irving, whoever in the last couple of years has been the lead, health is not their friend. It has not been on their side. And that's something where Gainwell's knocking on the door of an opportunity. We'll talk about with Zippy's team later that he has Irving and then Sean Tucker. Gainwell's way above Sean Tucker, in my opinion. So, it's one of those, we're playing the what if with Brady's running back room outside of Hampton, but I think he's got a lot of the handcuffs. He's got his own handcuff in Vidal. I know Chargers just gave Mitchell 2 years, $10 million. We saw what Vidal did when he had the reins of that running back room and got all the carries. He looked really good last year. I'm with Allen. I'm not super high on him, but Rashard Smith and Amari DeMercado, I was helping out a buddy in a keeper league in terms of who he wanted to keep and look at. Kenneth Walker was one of his options. I know the Chiefs just paid Kenneth Walker a lot of money. Also a guy who just went through an injury this past season. When he's on the field, though, Kansas City will give him the reps because they're paying him as much as they are. When he goes down, I think DeMercado and Smith, it's going to be one of those guys. I know Emmett Johnson is coming out of Nebraska, but I would definitely think DeMercado, a guy who has served as a starting running back at one point or another in this league, I think he's going to be the first guy to get a crack at it if Walker gets hurt. I know these are all what ifs, and that's not a good way to really judge and look at a running back room, but these are better what if questions, I think, than the bottom 3 rooms underneath Brady's in this league. That's why I have him ranked at 11, and plus you have the ceiling of Hampton, which I think is better than some of the running back units here in what we have at Beaverfest. So that's why I have him ranked at 11. JP, we've let myself go with the quarterbacks. Drew's taking the running backs. I'll let you get going here. 9 wide receivers, and this is a young unit for Brady. Average age just above 24 years old.
it is, and I really like the top 2 guys. I'm a big fan of Lemon. I had him as the 3rd overall guy in our rookie draft. He goes, I think Brady gets him at what 5, so that was great value. Great value I thought in the draft. That was awesome to see for him. I like Boston. I was hoping Boston was going to fall to me at 201 at one point in time. I had mocked Boston. I thought he was really going to fall. Was really hoping to get him. So I like that starting core right there. Again, I mentioned it earlier in the episode. Brady at one point in time had Rashee Rice. So this room was a lot prettier, was a lot sexier. And at that point in time, I had Brady with the 8th best receiver room. Now I currently have him sitting with the 10th best wide receiver room. So slight drop there. And the biggest problem I have with it is I don't like Xavier Worthy. I've made that very clear on this podcast as well. I don't think Xavier Worthy's overly talented. I think he was drafted to be a gadget guy in an offense that had their wide receiver 1 in Rashee Rice at the time. We've now seen what it looks like when Rashee Rice isn't out there. Worthy just isn't that guy. And now that Travis Kelce is not just lost a step, but 2, 3, 4 steps, Worthy is just not capable of being the guy in Kansas City. And I know he was never drafted to be the guy, but with Rice's both off-field issues and health issues and Kelce's decline, there's going to be 4 or 5 weeks where Worthy's got to step up to be the number 1 guy, and you're gonna get duds all of those weeks. And so it's just hard to trust a guy like that. Malik Washington is interesting because just of what's going on in Miami. There's that's a wide open
Wide
room.
open.
I know they spent
Yeah.
what 2 picks on rookies, so it's a young room at that. Malik Washington going into what I believe is his 3rd year at this point in time, so it's a very young room. Poor Keon Coleman, cookies. What else can I say? Keon Coleman, it just hasn't worked out for him. Kyle Williams has not worked out for him. Jalen Royals, I thought was going to be like the guy to replace Rashee Rice last year, and I don't remember seeing Royals on the field. Did he? I don't even. He may have gotten hurt or something. I have no idea. It's hilarious to me then that a guy who was scoring regular touchdowns in Tyquan Thornton it has a lower value than
Makes
Jalen
some
Royals on
sense.
Keep Trade Cut. I get it's because they like this is the problem with Keep Trade Cut and their algorithm. He's just younger, so they think the value's more like even Yoshivas gets regular snaps in the Cincinnati Bengals offense. Whatever. I'm not here to nitpick the bottom of his roster, but I really like the first 2 guys. There's there can still be guys to emerge from this list. Worthy can still break out. Washington can still find a role as a wide receiver 3. Coleman maybe just needs to change the scenery. Kyle
He
Williams,
desperately
if they
does.
if
Yeah.
they get rid of Booty, Kyle Williams could be that. Jalen Royals, maybe it's Andy Reid's known to not like rookies all that much. Maybe Royals just needs a second year in the offense. There's still a lot of growth potential for this room, but there's a lot of disappointment potential. That's why I got him at 10.
I have him at 11. And I mean, Lemon is the guy, right? And I think he's going to immediately benefit well from
Brady,
AJ
you own a
Brown.
lot of Chiefs, man. I just noticed that. Sorry.
And not even including Rice. Like he had
Yeah.
Rice, he doesn't have Rice anymore. Like
Yeah.
I mean, Lemon's gonna have to step in immediately. And same thing for Denzel Boston, who, contrary, I like him better than Casey Concepcion, at least from a fantasy standpoint. I like Denzel Boston a lot. I really, really do. And I think if I had the draft capital of having an earlier second or getting back end of the first, Boston would have been 100% on my radar as well. We've talked a lot about Worthy. I don't need to beat a dead horse on this podcast and our thoughts as a unit on him. Keon Coleman, the clips are already out from Bill's camp. He looks rough again. And it's just so hard because I feel like we get one of these guys in every draft, whether it's a running back or a receiver, a guy who was just an absolute monster in college and for just whatever reason can't put it together in the NFL. The talent is there. It's all the traits, everything, and anything you can look at through the scouting process. Green flags all over the place. I think that was the case with Coleman. Just physically, he hasn't been able to meet the match and at least be consistent in the NFL. Kyle Williams is another guy I loved, especially being in New England, and that is just falling flat, especially now with how crowded that receiver room is and how they have a guy like AJ Brown there. You just don't know what that long term fit looks like. And yeah, you said the back end. It's just you got some Chiefs depth pieces. Maybe you hope for another Tyquan Thornton multi touchdown game like he had a season ago. That was a legacy game for Tyquan Thornton here in this league. I mean, it really starts with Lemon in Boston. How quickly, in terms of this season, long term, you love it. But in terms of this season, with Rice not there as the alpha, as the number one in Brady's room, it's how quickly can these guys get off to a good start? And if they can get off to an immediate impact start for Brady's team, things are going to be going well. If not, I wouldn't be shocked if he finds a way to hit the trade market and try to grab another guy pretty early in the season. They fell down the rankings, this unit as a whole for me as well after the Rice trade. So I have the medal up.
Yeah, I'll hop in here real quick. I got Brazier receiving room at 10. I love his upside here. We talked about Makai Lemon, Denzel Boston. I think they're great fits for where they're at. We talked about how some of these rookies in our rookie draft didn't have great homes at first, but some did, and I think these two did. Like you said, Yak, it's really going to depend on Lemon, Boston, how they come out these first 4 weeks. If they come out and boom, 15 to 20 points, I mean, very unlikely, but this could change Brady's season, and it's going to be really dependent on them, and we'll go from there. Yeah, so yeah. Worthy and Washington, like JP said, I don't know. Washington, it's all up in the air. There's not a set receiver one in that Miami offense. So, I mean, he could emerge as that. He could be the receiver three by the end of the year. You just don't know what that offense yet. We'll see how it is. We see right now they say Willis is looking like a Tyrod Taylor. So, I mean, that could be good or bad. So, yeah, I'll just leave it there. You guys sit on the rest. So, we'll go to tight ends.
Yeah, I'll get us started with tight ends. And Tucker Kraft is going to be everything once again for Brady coming off the injury. But before injury, we saw how good he looked with Jordan Love. That connection was there. He's not only is there some depth, it's a young group for Brady as well. You got the Seattle tandem of Barner and Arroyo. Barner had a really good year last year, and I know it was Crook that had him, if I'm not mistaken, and he was able to get some pretty solid draft capital back for Barner, a guy who was, I would say, an afterthought in this league in terms of just all tight ends as a whole. Theo Johnson out in New York, he's still a Giant, correct? I'm like 90% positive that
Yeah, he
that's the
is.
case. Yeah, Isaiah likely getting the massive contract that doesn't help. He kind of falls into the abyss there. But still, I think in terms of the top end, I have this room rated at 7 because that's just how much I like Kraft. And you got the Seattle duo behind. Obviously, things are going to look a bit differently with the Seahawks and how they run their offense this year. Brian Fleury, the offensive coordinator, year one for him. But either way, I think if Barner or Royal can replicate production that we saw from the tight end position in Seattle last year, that's a guy you can borderline start every week. And as long as Kraft is healthy and on a bye week, that's your shoe in tight end one. You can't say that for a lot of groups in this league. Maybe there are some rooms below 7 that I've ranked that could have better overall, but none of them have a tight end as good as Tucker Kraft at its best. I was going through just the general redraft rankings of tight ends. Guys, the tight end position in fantasy football, I think this is one of the lower points. I was seeing outlets have, and not, this is no diss on Kraft. I know he's a Packer. I know we're Bears guys, and he's a talented. He's good for fantasy. He's ranked at some outlets as like the 5th or 6th best tight end. He's good, but I think that's just how watered down the tight end position is right now. Or a lot of teams are being really diligent on running 2 tight end sets, not having a primary tight end in their offense. And I think the value for Kraft just boosts it that much more. So I have the room ranked at 7 for those reasons.
Yeah, I got the room at. I'll hop in here real quick. I got Brady's room at number 5. Actually, I actually love this room. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I do like this room a lot. Tucker Kraft, as much as I hate the Packers, great tight end. I think he's a great fantasy asset too. Before he got that knee injury, he was awesome. I mean, he was scoring 15 plus every week. With our tight end premium, I mean, that helps out a lot. I mean, in other leagues, that'd probably be about 12 points, but in our league, I mean, that's 20 to 22 points a week. Uh, Especially if AJ Barner, people look at the name AJ Barner and they're like, oh, he seems mid. But, towards the end of the year, and we saw in those playoffs, I mean, he played a big impact in that offense. Yeah, their OC left this year, whatever, but I still think he's going to play a big role in that offense. And, I think he could help Brady's team out a lot in the flex spot or something else like that. The other 2 guys I like in this room, that the reason I ranked them at 5 is I do like Theo Johnson. They did sign Isaiah Likely to a big contract, but I still think he's going to see the field a lot, and I still think he's going to get in some sets where he could get about 2 to 3 catches a game, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but for this tight end premium we got, I mean, if he finds himself in the end zone, I mean, that's the 10 points right there. And another guy I like on this list too is Ben Sinnott. We'll talk about it when we get to Luke's team, but I'm not really a big fan of Chig, and I think Ben Sinnott has a chance to have some reps on this team and get on the field. Others might see something different, but I do think he can get in some sets. Like I talked about Theo Johnson, I do think he can get some a lot of playing time this year. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll leave it at that.
Andy, I really enjoyed the way you broke down Tucker Kraft because you went about it the same angle that I was going to go about it. I didn't want to be like the hating Bears fan because Kraft was genuinely unbelievable last year. But something I do want to mention is in 8 weeks last year, or I guess they had a bye week. So in 7 weeks last year, he scored over 20 points 1, 2, 3 times. He'd only ever done it 1 time prior to that in his career. I'm not saying that Tucker Kraft's bad or like he was obviously breaking out last year, but we got to pump the brakes on it. I mean, he played 7 games and we're already projecting him to be, like you mentioned, a top 5 tight end. That is very, 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 very ambitious. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but the sample size was so small. And on top of that, the NFL is already a small sample size league. You only play 17 games guaranteed every year. We're already basing it on small sample size. Then we're taking an even smaller sample size
Yeah.
and chalking it up that Tucker Kraft is, going to be this luxurious tight end guy. But with that said, I do like Tucker Kraft. I do obviously think he's going to break out and continue being something like he was, but I don't. One of the games he had 143 yards, 7 catches. He finished with 38.55 points and was the tight end one that week. And I think that's the version that everyone is expecting because it was the last full game he played before he got hurt. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the weekly norm. Did I say I have this tight end room at 5 yet?
You have not.
You
All right.
don't
Well, I
know.
have this tight end room at 5, going from Kraft to Barner, who again I like Kraft. I just think we need to pump the brakes. I like AJ Barner. I like exactly what you guys said. He came alive in a way that he was very safe at the end of the season. Felt like he was just constantly getting
Right.
12, and it's like a nagging
And
12. It's like
and
you're
that's a
telling
magic
me.
number, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
You're telling me AJ Barner's getting 12. It's one of those, but
Right.
it was a consistent, and it's like, okay, this is who AJ Barner is. This is what AJ Barner is going to do, and that is a very safe floor, especially at the tight end position, like Drew mentioned, with that tight end premium. That comes clutch. That comes up big. I like Elijah Arroyo next to them. I think with Cooper Kupp clearly showing regression, if they can just teach Elijah Arroyo to block, you're looking at your new big slot receiver out there, and I think there's a role for him. I think they can figure it out. I like Theo Johnson for the same exact things I just said about Arroyo, except Johnson's more proven, and he's in. I will give it to Matt Nagy. He did make Trey Burton look like a better tight end than he was when he was in Chicago, so that's got to count for something. Uh, Sinnott, I'm not really sure what to think of him. It's been 3 years. He hasn't really had an opportunity, but you think he would have gotten one by now. So not sure what to say. And I like Jack Endries as the potential Mike Gesicki replacement down the line. I think if you sit on that for a couple of years, Brady, you could have something in the later years of the Burrow regime there. So
I love the average age too. 24 for a tight end group.
That's crazy.
That'll work. That'll play. So JP draft picks. Brady's got a lot of them.
he does, and I actually a rare time I will agree with keep trade cut. I have Brady ranked second for overall draft capital. I mean, just take a look at these picks. What does he got? 1, 2, 3, 4 in 2028 and 2 in 2027. He's got one down. You know what? I got to scroll down to where they do it by the year. I prefer this look at it a lot better. Uh, that's great capital. He's got 4 picks in the first 2 rounds this year. He's got 5 next year, 4 of them being first. That's great stuff. I absolutely love not only Brady's out or like team now. There's fun pieces, but it's going to be really fun, come 2029. And it's crazy to say that, like, oh, you got to wait on it 2 years, but those 2 years are flying. I mean, we're already going into year what 5 of this thing?
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
Isn't that
God.
crazy? We
That's
were we
bad.
were all college kids when this started. None of us are in school. Well, some of us are in school, just not to that extent. Yeah, I think the one thing, and this is I don't want to say we're getting our first tier change, but I think one thing that separates Brady from the other teams that we've talked about in the bottom half so far. Well, Brady owns his own first. First of all, that's yeah, that's different in its own right. I don't know if we've had a single guy own their own first in the rankings we've done so far for this coming season. But not only does Brady have a product that week by week we're going to look at and say, oh, I'm excited to watch player X, player Y, player Z. He's got the draft capital to follow it up too. There's dual excitement moving forward. And yeah, I agree with keep trade cut as well. I have it ranked at second. Anytime you have 4 first round picks in a draft in the next 2 years, you've easily won me over with elite capital. And even this coming year, the 2027 draft, we've raved about it. He's got 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. 2 of them as well. One of them being his own, which should be, could be potentially in the bottom 5, or at least it'll be relatively early. Either way, it's a good draft to own a lot of high picks in, and that's what he's got here. So I haven't ranked that second.
Yeah, I do my picks a little weird. I got Brady at 4. But uh I like what he's going at. He's got 6 firsts in the next 2 years, and he's got 3 seconds in the next 2 years. I mean, he's in the right direction. His team doesn't look like right now, but like JP said, by 2029, it'll be here by the time you know it. And his team's gonna be looking not just solid, but very great if he can draft correctly, which is a good high possibility. But you never know. Things could happen. So, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Gone
I
through
also wanted to
everything.
point out that
Oh,
sorry that I forgot to mention this earlier. Brady has the 6th youngest team in the league as well.
That's right.
Sixth.
That's been super important for us to look at in its entirety, really, and it has been because that's a massive part of everything in this league, the age and how teams project moving forward. So good to note, and with the draft picks coming for Brady down the line. First two-parter. That means we're really diving deep here into the rosters, into everything with our teams here in the season. We'll come back after a very brief intermission to look at the team awards that were given out for Brady this season and his schedule right here on the Just Beavin podcast. Back to wrap it out here with our team awards for Brady and taking a look at his schedule entering the 2026 season. I'll start us off with his team MVP. Said this a couple of times already, and I think these guys feel the same way. It's really hard to give the most valuable player award on a team to a rookie because I say that, that's what I'm going to do. And I know that's hard because you look at Brady's quarterback room and you say, well, he's got Dart and Purdy and he's got Amari and Hampton. Hampton's only entering his second year. The injury bug caught him last year, so we don't truly know with him. And I just went on a rant at the very beginning of this episode talking about how much I don't like his quarterback. So I feel like it almost wouldn't make sense for me to then say, oh, the most valuable player is going to be one of his QBs. Mekhi Lemon is the MVP for me for Brady's team. It would have probably been Rashee Rice if he was still on Brady's squad, but that's certainly not the case. We all like Lemon, and I think the fit in Philly is going to be really fun, especially with A.J. Brown off the team. Now it's going to be him running alongside Devonta Smith, and I think that's an offense where he's got a shot to succeed pretty early. And once again, it's not necessarily the fact that I think he, in terms of the value side of things, I just don't know with Hampton, given the injuries in last year. I want it to be Hampton, but I can't necessarily commit that to be a fact. And like I said, I bashed his quarterbacks and their ceiling, so it wouldn't really make sense for me to then turn around and give the award in that way. So for me, it's Lemon as the MVP. True.
Yeah, my MVP is I know you guys kind of bashed on him a little bit. Not really bashed, but kind of put him back to reality. I'm taking Tucker Kraft here. I do think he bounces back. I know people say that athletes coming off a knee injury, they don't come back the same, but obviously he's not going to come back the same, but I do think he's going to come back healthy and he's going to come back and put up some points from Brady. I think he's going to be the guy that stands out the most on this team. JP?
I got Hampton as the MVP. I alluded to it during the running backs, but Hampton now stepping into that A-chain role. I think he's a better pass blocker, so I think he'll for sure be on the field on all third downs. I think he's going to be weaponized very well in that Chargers offense.
JP, who do you got for the breakout candidate?
This was a tough one. This was a tough one. Technically, Hampton could be in that. AJ Barner's another guy I looked at. But I'm going to go with the RB2 in Philadelphia. I'm going to go with Tank Bigsby. I'm not quite sure how much of a breakout is really going to be, but I do know that even when the Packers traded for Josh Jacobs, the year he led the league in carries or whatever it was when he first got to Green Bay, the RB2, A.J. Dillon, I think it was still A.J. Dillon that year, or it might have been the first year of the Chris Brooks or Emmanuel Wilson. But the moral of the story is the RB2 there was getting like 9-10 carries a game. So Mannion, I imagine, is going to take that LaFleur kind of approach with it. I think Bigsby's still going to get his touches because they're looking to make a deep run. They need Barkley fully healthy. The offensive line is not quite what it used to be. And I think Bigsby could have some weeks where, he's not I don't want to say he's winning you weeks, but he is keeping you in them with a touchdown here or there and 50 yards, so a 12-point week like we alluded to with Barner.
We got
Yeah.
beef.
Yeah, I got Malik Washington. I know it sounds a little weird, but just because that receiving room is just wide open, I think he has a good chance to break out for Brady's team, and he could be one of those receivers that breaks out in the Miami's offense. People don't have high hopes for that team, and I really don't either. But hey, maybe we'll all be wrong, and maybe they'll prove us wrong and be successful. So. I do think Malik Washington will be okay for Brady, and I think he will break out. So
Mine's less fun. It's Hampton. It's really hard, like JP said, to look around. I don't really. I always say no rookies for MVP, especially it doesn't make sense for breakout because what do they have to break out from? They haven't played in the league yet in terms of that progression type of deal. Just because of injury, I mean, if Hampton can stay healthy the full year on the field, he's primed to have a big role with LA, and he's bound to be a very good, not just player IRL, but in the fantasy realm as well. He's got a shot to be a very valuable running back. Beav, I want you to lead us off here with the X factor. Who's your X factor for this squad?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it. We kind of didn't, but I think the X factor for Brady's team is going to be his rookie receivers. If Boston and Lemon start out to a hot streak, I think it's going to be the change of pace of Brady's team. If they average 10 to 15 every week, even, and then get him a couple 20 points throughout the weeks, I think Brady's team's going to be pretty successful. Now if there's going to be a lot of weeks where they have 5 to 8 points, then we're going to see Brady's team probably struggle. It's going to be up to them to hold his team accountable, and we're going to see how that goes. So, and I do have high hopes for these rookie receivers. So, that's my X factor. JP?
This was the first time I had fun picking an X Factor. I have two different guys crossed out on my list just because I really couldn't decide. I ended up going with Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart is really going to be the story of this team. I think it's going to be interesting to monitor A, how he looks in the Nagy offense, and then B, if they're teaching him to slide and telling him to go down, that's going to really limit his rushing upside. I think whether or not Brady is a fun team who's pushing, great teams to the brink on a weekly basis, it's going to come down to whether or not Jackson Dart's scoring, 25 a game or 13 a game.
Mine's Tucker Kraft for a lot of the reasons we said. Yeah, I guess you could have made him a breakout candidate as well, but he kind of already had those booming weeks last year. It's one of those where if he stays healthy, and obviously he's not going to have that 38-point output every week, but if he can be a consistent 15 to 20 points, if he can have a handful of 20 plus point, 25 plus point games this year, that could take this team to a whole new level. We talk about how thin the tight end position is. Like I said, going through redraft rankings, a lot of platforms having him at fifth and sixth. And I look at the guys below him, and there isn't a lot, man. Like the top of the crop of tight ends are really going to separate themselves here from the rest of the bunch this season. That's a big reason why I think if Kraft can be that 15 to 20 point guy, get a handful of 20 plus point games this year, could be a huge difference maker for Brady. JP, are you eager with your disappointment? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? I'll give you
No,
the
I'm
option.
sure everyone already knows who mine is, so I can just go first. Xavier Worthy is my disappointment. I'm sure nobody's shocked to hear that. I already went on my rant during the wide receiver portion of this, but I don't even know what Xavier Worthy's redraft ADP is, but I can tell you he's gonna be way worse than whatever it is.
Steve, who do you got?
I got the same exact player. It was kind of, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not dissing him. I took him in the first round. I just don't really see like disappointment really on this team. Like he has a lot of interesting characters on this team. I don't really see a guy that I'm like, oh dang, this guy's gonna be really, really bad. I think he just has a bunch of average guys, and that's okay. I mean, that's okay for a team. So yeah, if I had to pick somebody though, it would be Xavier Worthy, just because I don't know how his role is gonna be on this team. I just don't know. I don't know. But yeah. What do you got?
I'll go with Brock Purdy. A lot of it, some of it's not going to be in his control. For those who've paid attention to training camp injuries, shocking. The Niners have been hit hard again. I feel like we say this every year. So whether it's him not being able to stay on the field or if it's the guys around him, sometimes you're only as good as the product that's placed around you on the field. We know Brock Purdy benefits from a system more than any other quarterback in the NFL, and more specifically in fantasy. If he doesn't have those weapons around him to make him go in Kyle Shanahan's offense, he's going to suffer greatly. And I don't know, just in general, I'm not high on Purdy as things stand. JP had mentioned it. He's going to have those weeks, those shootout weeks like we saw against the Bears last year. He's a safe floor, but the ceiling's just never going to be super high. And, thankfully for Brady, that's not his top, according to Keep Trade Cut, not his top valued quarterback. And a lot rides on Jackson Dart, too. I was considering having Dart be the disappointment, but I didn't want to go that, all in on a second year quarterback. And we've already voiced the opinion. So I just think Purdy, the floor is what it is, but who knows with what's around him. If he can stay healthy, that's great. But if the guys around him are hurt, then that could suffer greatly from his performance and his production. Let's take a look at Brady's schedule before we wrap this episode out here on the Just Beavin podcast, part of our preseason series. Fellas, we'll start here with some extra time. Are there any matchups that excite us here on Brady's schedule this year? Anything we're looking forward to before we look at the floor and the ceiling of his potential records?
Yeah, I think on my end, I think both matchups versus Wade in week 1 and week 11 and then versus Ty in week 7 and week 12. I think those are going to be for all 3 teams I just named, those are going to be weeks to monitor to see if either one of them can push for the 7th seed in the wild card.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Wade's draft positioning too, right? Not saying these guys are caring about where the picks are, but we get to the point in the season for the teams that are out of it, all of a sudden it's so and so needs this team to lose and they need to lose for, and obviously we have the ethical tanking rules in our league constitution. But it's okay, you need to lose this match or someone else needs to lose their game for draft pick positioning. So just while the fight for the top is important for those guys who are mathematically eliminated near the week 12 point of the season, the draft pick positioning really begins to matter as well. And so those matchups with Wade stood out to me.
Yeah, I remember looking at Brady's schedule when I was going and making my win projections for everybody. I got Brady at 4.5 wins over under. I'm gonna take the over, but I do remember it's week 10 or week 11. He doesn't have. It's either he doesn't have both his quarterbacks or doesn't have both his running backs. I don't remember which one it is. He struggles on 1 week with a lot of buys, which I mean he plays Uyak or he plays Jake, so I don't think it's really gonna matter. But like we said, he seemed to be real fun, and we saw last year he upset Uyak, so I mean anything can happen. So yeah, I
Week
still
8
got
against you, Drew.
it does
That
week
was
8.
you. Dade beat me.
No,
Oh,
I'm saying it's week 8 that Brady doesn't have his
Oh.
running backs, right?
quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks, there it is. Yep, he's out of quarterbacks.
Oh,
There
how
it is.
convenient. It's against you, Drew.
Yeah. So we're
Funny
talking
how
about
that
it
works.
there. Exactly. So uh he'll be starting Joe Flacco, and that's how it'll go. So but yeah, I got Brady at 4.5, and I do think he's gonna get over 4.5 wins. I do think he suppresses and gets 5 wins. I think his floor is yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I think he's gonna get 5 wins. I really do.
So you don't have a floor or a ceiling for him?
No, I don't. I just think he's gonna get. I think he's just gonna
Okay.
get. I think he's just gonna get 5.
Okay. My floor is 4-10 for Brady. The ceiling is 7-7. That's where I have him at. I think
Fair.
that 5 to 6 win, that's kind of the sweet spot, JP.
I have his floor at at 1-13, and I have his ceiling at 6
What?
and 8.
What? How? 1-13.
Yeah,
I obviously he's beating Matt, but you think he's gonna lose to everyone else?
that's the floor. I think it's highly
I
possible that
I
that happens. Yeah.
I think he
There's
stumbles
no
into a couple
way.
wins. Maybe the 4 was generous, but I mean, I don't think he'll lose more than. I don't think
Listen, we're
he'll
talking about
have
his
less than 3.
floor. What is the absolute worst that Brady will do? The absolute
True.
worst Brady's going to do is 1-13. It
2
is.
and
Well,
12.
It
then,
is.
well, then
They're
could
It is.
could
It
you
2
is
and
tell me
12.
100.
all of our floors are 1-13 then?
No, because I don't think there's teams out there that are going to possibly go 1-13. We
All
haven't
right.
got to any great teams, but
Fair enough.
are we really going to reflect on Boyer's schedule, who gets to play Brady twice, who gets to play Wade twice, and say, "Oh yeah, Boyer's floor is 1-13"? No, but we're looking at this.
I'm just
It's 100% conceivable that Wade beats Brady, that Jack beats Brady, that Ty beats Brady twice, that Wade beats him twice. That's conceivable. It's not the most
fair.
preposterous thing to say. Now, is it likely?
Like all of those combinations in one though. Then,
Yeah,
like
right. It's not likely, but that would be the
that
floor. It
is
is
fair enough.
there is 100% a world where Brady's could lose to all of those teams. He's there, but there's no his floor is not 0-14 because there's no chance on God's green earth that he's going to lose the Matt. But it is conceivable that he loses to these other teams.
Hot take. My hot take for Brady's schedule. I think he beats Luke week 14. That's my hot take for the schedule, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, Luke Hundley catching a stray. It's not even his episode. Beav, is this something with the
Shout out,
spelling bee? It's got to be.
shout out Ippy, man. I feel bad for him, man. Shout out Ippy.
No, you don't. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, tuning in here on this Tuesday. Another episode of the books here in our preseason power ranking editions. We'll catch you next time here on the Just Beavin podcast.